What are we talking about today, Jake?
We're talking about DEI, but let's hit these plane crashes real quick.
Okay.
Kind of a hot topic, but so I saw a big rumor out today that she was a trans woman was flying a plane. That was complete nonsense. It was not. It was not the woman they were saying. There is a trans flying helicopters in the army. Listen, here's the deal. She only had 500 hours. They think that she was looking at the wrong airplane. The warrant officer was looking at the wrong airplane. The airplane was above them in the airspace. They were looking straight out. It's hard to look up in a helicopter.
For sure.
You know, the bottom line is they were 200 feet over the ceiling. The ceiling in that area is 200 feet. They were at 400 feet. You know, mishap happened. They ran in a plane. A whole bunch of people got killed. It was terrible. Okay, so that's kind of my wrap up on that. As far as the medevac that crashed in Philadelphia, folks, we got planes crashing every day. Most of them don't crash into cities. Most of them don't
farm fields and shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty normal, actually.
Most of the time, planes don't crash the day after there's a big ass crash in DC. So, is what it is.
So I said 500 is not a lot of flight hours. You know better than me, Jake. Is that a little amount?
No, 500 hours is tiny. You have some warrant officers in the Army, WO5s, WO4s that have 25,000 hours in the cockpit.
Oh,
like that's not a lot. Okay. Like an experienced warrant probably is north of 5,000. A seasoned airline pilot, so they normally have, I would say, between 5,000 and 10,000 hours. Some of them dudes have upwards of 20,000 hours flying time. So yeah, wow. So the rule in flying, okay, most people are good up until 200. Between 200 and 1,000, they think they're Top Gun, and that's where 90% of the accidents happen. Between 200 hours to 1,000 hours, because they all think they're Top Gun.
It's that way in Halo, right? Like once you get about 100 jumps, that's when dudes start doing some wazoo shit, right? You start getting a little confidence, and you're like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing," and it's like, "No, you kind of don't." Still, you know.
Hey, you know, so I got one of my young kids. He's not young now, but I got one of my young dudes into free fall, you know. And I said, listen, this is the best thing you can ever do. It's like birth control, right? Like you got a sister or somebody in your family that's got like 10 kids. You're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, right? So in the back of the parachuting magazine, they changed the name of it. It's called Mishaps or something now, but it used to be Fallen Angels. And when I was at the SEAL teams, those magazines were all over the place. And you would open it up and you'd be like, oh, dude got 1,000 or 10,000 jumps, Fallen Angel. Damn, dude got 7,000 jumps, Fallen Angel. When I was at SEAL Team 8, there was a chief air god. We call them air gods or sky gods. And he had opened up a military freefall school for the SEALs on the East Coast. He jumped out the plane and he had sewed his pack tray together.
Oh, my God.
Because he had a fray in his pack tray. He sewed the pack tray together and he killed himself with 8,500 jumps.
I've got one like that. We had, what was this? Maybe 20, I don't know the exact dates, 2015, 2016. Very experienced jumper, hundreds, if not thousands of jumps out, gets entangled, he jumps out somehow. I don't know what happened with his pack, but his reserve deployed, not his main.
Okay.
And then he, for whatever reason, as he couldn't get this malfunction undone, he pulls his knife out and he actually cut himself away. And then when he pulled, his main wasn't attached because it pulls with the reserve, and he fell to his death, man. Yeah, and he was an very experienced jumper.
I'm going to say this: anybody listening to this call, okay? In civilian free fall, yes, you can unhook your RSL, which connects to your reserve, and try to pull your main and play games.
Yep.
But if your reserve is out, the last thing you're going to do is cut it away because it's the only thing hard tacked to your uniform. And I don't know about you, but I don't know many people that can fly on their own without a parachute.
I got a I got a $50 super chat from Texas Actual.
So Let's go! Let's go!
Very generous. Thank you, brother. So it's 60 days for aviation around the world. Thank y'all for your service.
Hey, man, appreciate it, big dog. Hey, man, listen.
Much, man.
Hey, man, shout out to my chat, man. I just want y'all to know somebody over on Nate's channel dropped a $50 bill.
That's the biggest one I've ever had. So thank you very much, man.
Let's go, Nate. All right, let's get into it, Nate. We're going to talk about diversity, DEI, kind of the first crazy week of Trump's administration.
Yep.
I've got a lot of color to it, obviously. But we're gonna try to focus on like how it's good. Like I'm gonna be the first one. I'm gonna throw the grenade in the room. DEI was a complete catastrophe. Okay, the fact that DEI got hornswoggled by females and then the LGBT community. All right, in the military, and just specifically in the military, what me and Nate are talking about. It got hornswoggled by the movement. Destroyed the military. I'm going to tell you the truth, man. Like, I don't care what color you are, what gender you are. Don't care about none of that. But you're not going to be, like, pitching some fruity-ass Looney Tunes shit and then not be able to do your job or not have the capabilities to do your job because they needed to bring you in to kind of diversify the community.
Well, and I think it's important for all the viewers to know, like, this is what you do for a real job. Like, you bring in, not like the DEI as in we got to meet a quota, but you actually, as we talked about earlier, run one of the most successful programs for bringing in underprivileged economically and minority, not only soldiers, but into high skill set jobs.
Yeah.
Right? So you are someone who comes from a actual ton of experience of how to do this correctly. Right. So when someone like you says this is fucking trash, people should probably listen to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that
you know what you're talking about.
But see, here's the problem, Nate, and I think I shared this story the last time we talked about this. I interviewed with a guy that has a PhD in DEI, right? Out in California at Cal. Shout out to Lasagna. I'll call you out by name, Mr. Lasagna. Shout out to you at Cal DEI program, okay? And everything they study in DEI is numbers based, meaning, well, if you interview more black people, you're going to hire more black people. If you interview more women, you're going to hire more women. I always make the argument, I don't care how many people you interview, if they suck, then you're not going to hire more of them, right?
Well, and I think what you know, too, is like the SEALs have been really terrible at this and trying to recruit like women, right? Where they'll just bring in women who have no chance of making it and be like, look, we're bringing women to buds, when they know there's a 0% chance that woman could ever make it through.
Zero.
Because they do it for DEI to meet numbers, right?
And that, but see, I think that's a big political case, right? Like you talked about it in the Green Berets, in the Q Corps. Everybody's feeling this political pressure to like, oh, we gotta do it. Well, shit, I'm just gonna tell you, right? Like, do I think I could make a female Navy SEAL? 100%. Can I make 10 of them? No. Yeah. No. I if I could get 2 out, I'll be like, we pushing the envelopes of possibilities.
And that's like out of all the women in the country.
Yeah, I might have to go outside.
If you were to like, hey, we want to make 2 female Navy SEAls, we have access to whatever woman in the world we want. You could make a couple.
Yep. And that's kind of like my thing. But I wanted to come at it from this perspective, Nate. And what you said last time we spoke about it really resonated with me. How it wasn't the DEI candidates that caused the problems per se. It was the lower standard men that made it through the pipeline and showed up and were not able to meet the standard of an actual team, right? And we talked about the story of the guy that I had, 145-pound kid, wouldn't lift weights, couldn't carry nobody, got kicked out to teams, right? That caused a big firestorm over on my channel. But the thing that people got to understand is, how you kill DEI? You know how you help everybody? You hire the best motherfuckers out there and they show up to work and they fucking lay waste and their phone rings and they're like, Jake, I need 5 more of these dudes. And I'm going to give you the best example I got that is fucking right now in stone, giving me fucking goosebumps, okay? My man, Aaron fucking Garcia, got his wings on Thursday from fucking Air Force Aviation Pipeline, and they asked him to go fly F-22s. Okay?
Nice.
Now, he ended up not doing it. He said he hated the aerobatics. He's going to the Fat Boys. He's going to C-17s in Riverside. But that dude showed up and got asked multiple times, where did you come from? Okay? Yeah. Where did you learn how to fly? What... Like you're different than everything else we've seen, right? Well, that ain't no accident. I had dude since he was the fucking ticket agent for American Airlines at LAX. Okay? And I remember his first solo with Jay. We got it on video. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull that shit up, and when I do my video on this video, I'm going to put it in there. Like, we got the tickets, but I sent them one of the best pilots we have. And now they're asking for more, right? Yeah. That's how you do it. You don't give them some...
It's meritocracy, right? Like, does it matter that Garcia is Hispanic? Does it matter that you're black or I'm white? No. Who's the best fucking pilot, right? And you can pull the best pilot, the best Navy SEAL, the best Green Beret from any demographic, right? But if you're trying to force numbers, and then gut standards, which I think from what I've heard talked about in the, not just in General Sontag Q course, right? Trying to gut the standards out there. It's happening all over the place through the military. But from what I've heard in the air traffic control school pipeline, I think you may have been talking about this, that it used to be 3 years. Well, what'd they do? Well, let's gut a year out of that. Let's see if we can pump people through, pump numbers through as fast as possible. And then what happens? The guys and girls who would have probably not made it because they weren't qualified, well, guess what? It was way easier. And now they're through. Happened in Green Berets. I talked about this. People are like, well, there's 2 female Green Berets. Yeah, there are, that made it through during General Sontag's 12-month Q course where they took away all the physical fitness standards, right? And everything was diagnostic and you couldn't fail. Like, yes, we did produce 2. But now, and I know because I've got buddies that are teammates that are instructors over there right now, now no woman can get anywhere near passing SFAS. Why? The standards are back to what they used to be.
You got to carry 200 pounds.
The amount of exactly. And the amount of men and young, because I was getting the brunt of this as a senior leader right before I retired in 2023, of all these young dudes straight out of the Q course who they'd show up to the teams, bro, running like 17-minute 2-mile out of the Special Forces qualification course where you are like,
what?
Swear to God, they're showing up to ODAs and like 38-year-old Nate with fucking 5 knee surgeries is like smashing you your first day out on a run. Like,
okay, we've got to go into this. We got to go into this.
And that was normal, man, because it was all diagnostic PT tests. You couldn't fail. And so
we got to go into this, Nate. We got to go into this because I'm going to talk. I got an angle I want to talk about, but I want to go into this a little bit, okay? So what time frame are we talking about that the Q course went into diagnostic phase?
I think Sontag started pushing it through around, I want to say 2018, 2019.
Okay. 2018. All right. So now we got guys.
Maybe 2019, 2020.
Okay.
I think that might be
whenever the Sontag time frame. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that a young dude, 20, let's just say 24 years old, which could be old or could be young. Okay. Whatever. Let's just say 24-year-old man shows up to your ODA team running a 17-minute 2-mile.
Yes. Now, and I'm talking about, this was my ODA. One of my young dudes showed up.
One of your young dudes. Okay, so let's
ran a 17-minute 2-mile.
Let's talk about
the qualification course for a month.
Okay, let me ask you this question. What was your corrective course of action?
I mean, initially you want to just walk straight in the sergeant major's office and be like, get this piece of shit off the team, but we don't have numbers. Recruitment's terrible, so there is nowhere to do with them. So it's physical fitness corrective action. And it's, hey, you are going to whatever run plan, whatever PT plan. Now, the ODA most likely is already doing that, so we're going to force you into it. But there's going to be now counselings, right? We're going to build a packet on your ass. Because even though Sergeant Major won't let me kick your ass off the team right now, he's going to in 2 months when I have 15 fucking counseling statements on your ass and I run you through a PT test every 2 days and make you fail it over and over and over and over again, right? So that's the way that works, typically.
So with this young individual on your A team, what ended up happening with him in his 17-minute 2-mile? Did he get in shape and bring his...
Yeah, of course, because he actually started working out and running. But my point is, in the Q course, they're fucking doing any of it.
So
that's the type of, like, how hard is it to make it through the qualification course? If you can pass qualification course running a 17-minute 2-mile, how hard do you think that is physically?
It's embarrassing. I'm going to tell you the truth, because in the SEAL teams, the standard hasn't changed since probably the early 90s. I don't know when, like, they haven't changed the standard at all. It's the same fucking standard. Now, I will say this, in the SEAL teams, they modify the length of the run and the swim all the fucking time. It might be 2.4 miles, and they do it on purpose, okay? But I will say this. It was hilarious when I checked into the SEAL teams, and I was running in the front of everybody. And my first thought was, God, these guys are slow, okay? And then I remember somebody pulled me aside, and they were just laughing at me, and they were like, hey, man, let me tell you something. All the guys from Buds are the fastest guys in the teams for the first 6 months. And he said, give it 6 months to a year, and let me see where you're at. And then the new guys would come in from Buds, and they'd be fucking on fire. Yeah. And then you'd be back there in the middle of the pack, and I'd be like, yeah, man, like I'm not running that much slower. I actually got faster when I got to the SEAL teams. But so in the SEAL teams, there's a lot of max effort runs. Okay. Like, why am I running max effort 3 times, 4 times a week? And I'm a big believer you run max effort once or twice a week, you have great improvement. So I would do a lot of non-max effort runs in the teams and being not near the back, but towards the back. And then when it come testing time, I ran my fastest 3 miles, was like an 18:30 in the platoon 2 years into the teams, right? Like, so, but yeah, like that's crazy. Like, oh my God. Like if I will say this, at SEAL Team 2, the bottom 10% has remedial PT every day. And so it's a street fight over there to not be in the bottom 10%, right?
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
But I'm like, if a dude showed up to the SEAL teams and ran, let's just say we went on a 5 mile, like we do a lot of base jogs, like it's 5 miles, run a 5 mile banger, right? And that dude came in behind Master Chief, who was 36 years in the SEAL teams.
Right.
He might get boarded out that day.
Right.
Like there is a chance, like they're gonna have a conversation. Are you drunk? Did you have the flu?
Yeah.
What happened? Right now, let's change the course of this. Okay, so here's my problem with something like you're talking about. The problem isn't the physical standards. That's part of it, but that's a small part of it. The bigger part of it is, are they able to do every day what they need to do to be successful on the ODA team as an independent person? They're going to be an assistant to somebody, but you and I both know how much intrinsic work goes into. I mean, shit, you got 2 comms guys in A team, right? Or you might have one.
But that's what I was just going to tell you. Like maybe you have a mentor, or maybe you show up fresh out of the Q course and you're the senior 18 Echo, and there ain't no other dude on your team, and you're still expected day one, even though you have no idea what's fucking going on, to have everything prepared, ready, equipped for that ODA with 0 guidance.
Zero.
So that's the reality of it.
And how about just showing up on time, right? Like just being a professional. It takes a little bit of time. Like I was so scared though. Like I had that absolute failure mentality. Like I was so scared, like I was gonna mess something up or fail, that I was like on everything. Now year 3, I'm running into formation, putting my shoes on and shit. People would get mad at me about it. I'd be like, fuck you. I'll throw my shoes to the side, do the whole workout with no shoes on. I don't need no fucking shoes. Like I'm here, I'm on time, you know? So.
Well, and I think this ties back into the overall DEI culture that we forced through in the military, which was the standards don't matter. It's numbers. Numbers matter. Like output numbers, equity, right? Like we don't care about input numbers. Like what can you output me? Well, how do I get to a certain number of women Green Berets? Well, the easiest way I can do it is just get all the standards out. And now look at my output, right? My equity output is great. And you know what happened? The very first female that made it through the Q course, do you know what she did?
She quit?
Anybody know? Anybody in the chat know?
Oh, give it to us, bro. What'd she do?
She negligently discharged her pistol in her apartment into her neighbor's house.
Oh.
Immediately. So, now, maybe that could have happened to anyone, but, it's kind of coincidental, right? Like,
that's the standard.
That's the standard, right? You got rid of the standard just to get somebody through. And they did it in Ranger School too, man. Like there's lots of no knock on the females who made it through Ranger School. Great for you.
Man,
you had your own standards. You
had your own standards, and they were recycling the shit out of them.
Yep.
Like they were
Oh,
just
yeah. Oh, yeah.
like in place recycling. Like I heard that you got one recycle and then you had to start over. And then,
Yep.
and they were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you just get another shot at this. Like let's give you another. And that's part of
Right.
a lot of people don't understand how much stuff in our communities you get taught this morning, you're walking it this afternoon, and then you're running it at night, maybe 2 days later. But the learning curve in our community is astronomical. And if you can't learn at that speed rate, you're holding everybody back.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no give a fucks from anybody else that you can't learn fast enough. It's not
Oh
like,
no,
oh well, he couldn't because he's so task saturated or this, that. Nobody cares.
no one cares.
If you don't pick it up and you don't learn it fast enough and you're not performing, regardless of being mentored or being helped or being shown what to do, you're just gone, dude. Like, hey, go work in the arms room, buddy. Like,
Yep.
you
So
can do that.
I'm gonna tell you, in the SEAL teams, that you gone. There ain't no place to fall if you get kicked out of the teams. Like
I will say, we are really, really bad about that in regiment. We will not get rid of fucking anybody. And
oh yeah,
everybody hates it. We'll find a place to hide you for the rest of your career. You'll work in the med shed. You'll work in the arms room. You go be the land guy. You'll go be the air guy. Like, everybody knows it, right? Like, some of these dudes have been like the land and air guy for 6 years, right? Like, as a Green Beret. Like, we all know why you're there, because you indeed on the range and shot yourself in the leg or some crazy, or in the knee. We had one of those the other day. Or not the other day, but a few years ago.
The beauty in the SEAL teams is there's no team guys in any of those positions. They're all support guys. Nope. We don't have you go in the armory, like my armory at SEAL Team 8 was awesome. It was 2 black E6s, right? What you need, Jake? I'm like, shit, I need some bullets, man. How many you need? I was like, man, can I get 4,000 for the weekend? They'd be like, oh, no problem, man. We'll put them in your locker. Right? Like, you come back your locker, you have 2 ammo cans, you have 4,000 rounds of 45, you go to the range. But yeah, even Air Ops. Air Ops was run by a bunch of riggers, and I think there was a Master Chief rigger over there, but it wasn't any SEALs over there. Now I'm sure there's a SEAL in charge, but like our Paraloft isn't attached to SEAL Team 8. At least it wasn't back in the day. It was the East Coast Paraloft. So all the riggers were in there, right? And they're the ones who do all the rigging, but there wasn't no SEALs over there ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit different
for us, but we're also like 5 times the size in personnel, right? Like,
yep.
We have 5 groups plus 2 National Guard groups. I think you have, I don't know what the numbers are at right now, but it used to be anywhere from like 5,000 to 7,000 active duty Green Berets. So
yeah, we're at 2,500.
Yeah, so three times the size. So like, we do actually have sort of a little bit more of ability to like, but it also, that's kind of the shitty thing about becoming a Green Beret is because we don't have as much backside support. They're just like, oh well, 18 Echo is also the S6, and he's also the JTAC, and he's also fucking the DTS guy, and he's also like, the list goes on and on. You have 9 different jobs, and like, oh, you'll figure it out.
But I'll say this, Nate, when you go down range, you guys are able to operate totally autonomous to everything. Like, you can,
100%.
I could drop you into a country, you're going to figure it out. I'm going to make the argument, if you drop a SEAL team into a country with 0 support, you're not going to have the same kind of success. Like, we got armorers, but like, our armors are all non-SEALs, right? Like, in the platoon, you don't have no armors. You used to back in the day. You got guys that can fix guns and night vision, but you don't have like a raw armor that's going to be able to fix a 240, right? Like, we got guys with gun parts and stuff, but it was always interesting to me, because I always felt like we should have took 3 or 4 support guys with us on deployment, which they did eventually during the war. But initially, when I was in, we didn't have no support guys with us.
Let's not pivot, but let's talk about, because obviously there's been a lot of talk when we're on the DEI, females in the military, all this. At the Pete Hegseth hearing, they lost their fucking minds about him saying women shouldn't be in combat roles. And I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. One, are we going to remove females? Because there are women in some combat roles, right?
Wait, hang on. He said ground combat roles.
Right.
Ground combat.
My point is, we do have that.
Absolutely.
So are we going to pull that out and say no more? If you think about like the CSTs, cultural support teams,
Yep,
We have
yep,
those
yep.
women attached to our ODAs a lot of the time. There's a lot of, oh man, I saw a bunch of Ranger Bat dudes talking about how worthless they were and how like they had to get carried through objectives and yada 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 and all this stuff, big liabilities. I didn't see that personally with the ones we had attached to us. I thought they did a really good job.
So let me say this,
Um,
Nate. Let me say this because I think I understand the difference. Okay, the Rangers are fucking doing DAs like fucking animals.
yeah,
Okay, you guys are doing FID, growing armies. You had a lot of case in point tea times, right?
yes, oh, all the time.
I could see a woman struggling in Ranger Bat, and Ranger Bat is light infantry, 100% savagery. And it's young as shit. 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds. They give zero fucks. If I have to drag this woman with me, I'm beating her ass. And now, because I mean, they're doing that to the men too. Like I got the big Jake.
Yeah.
You know, Jake talked about it when he first got out in combat. He was like, I got assigned a handler and I fucked up. And the handler slid over to me and was like, hey, man, if you do this again, we're going to get rid of you now. You better figure it the fuck out. He said they were on target, moving through the target with bullets firing. And he said he got offline by like maybe 3 or 4 feet. But he said by the end of that deployment, he understood how important those 3 or 4 feet were. And then he was like, man, it made sense. So two different skill sets.
And even the way we do direct action is much different than Ranger Battalion, right? Because I don't have 100 fucking savage fucking 18-year-old warfighter, American warfighters. I've got 60 fucking Afghans that don't want to be there, right? So it's not like I don't just hit the ground and just massively like blow the side of the wall and we're in there and out of there in 3 minutes. Like it's slow, it's deliberate. We're dealing like with a lot of villagers. A lot of the way we do things is like getting intelligence human out of the villagers of like, hey, the ISIS and Taliban dudes are like 4 compounds that way. Well, what's a good way to do that? Well, if you have female CSTs on the ground who can get that information out of the females who would not be able to talk to me, there's actually a lot of value added in that in some ways. So that's why I bring it up as interesting of like, for me personally, should females be on the front lines as Marine grunts? No, fuck off, dude. Like, you're not going to convince me of that. One, and I think Tucker Carlson said it, whether you like him or not, he had a great quote where he said, any society that sends its mothers and daughters to fight its war is not worth defending to begin with. And I think that's a good way to look at it, man. It's like, there's value. And I've said this throughout every time I've talked about this, there's a lot of value added for females in the unconventional warfare.
Tons.
Mission
tons.
sets, all, subversion mission sets, sabotage missions, all these different things that we do in SF. But like, do we need women on the front lines of Ranger Bat or on the SEAL teams? Like, you can't fucking convince me that the value added is bigger than the liability when it comes to those two things.
And you know, I've had a number of people, and I always say this, man. You talk about a tight.
I just gotta blow my nose real quick.
You're good. You talk about a tight knit group of people. Like the 16 dudes in the SEAL team know each other better than anybody else, right? We talked about this a little bit on our last talk, which I'll link in the description. But the familiarity and the closeness of the team, if you add a female to the mix, causes consternation and incredible problems because you don't have a balance of female to male ratio. It's 1 or 2 females to 80 dudes.
Or 8. Oh, yeah. The whole company. Yeah, man.
In an incredibly stressful situation, right? So one, you got a female. 2, you're in combat. You got stress. And then you're around. Then we add the magic factor. Fucking 18 of the baddest fucking Vikings in the history of mankind. And now you got the problems that we talked about. So I will say this, Nate. I have no problem with females in the military. I don't really give a shit if they're in the SEAL teams, as long as we don't change the standard. But I think there are a number of places.
I think that's an interesting take. I think a lot of people would go back and forth on that one. Expand on that on the SEAL teams themselves.
So like, here's the deal: the PJ. So I went and dug on the PJ. Right, we heard that there was a female PJ in the pipeline doing well. Okay,
yeah.
So I called some people. Okay, she's the
Wasn't she like some CrossFit champion or something?
number
like that?
5 CrossFit woman in the world. Number 5. Okay, and she's not doing well. She's doing okay. She's in the pipeline, and they're still not sure she's going to graduate. Okay. So she made it out of their selection process, which is the murderous selection process that we have in America. And she made it out of that. Now she's in the normal pipeline, but their standards keep increasing, right? Like Aaron says, they have 289 light items that they're responsible for as a PJ, proficiency wise. And that's why the pipeline's almost 3.5 years long. But the guys I talked to said there are some questions whether she's going to make it or not. That's the number 5 CrossFit woman in the world.
Yep.
And I would argue if she can tackle PJs, that means she probably could have tackled SEAL training. You know, I will always say, like, the Green Berets, when you start putting that weight on women, it does their hip labrums. You know, like, it's different when you're carrying 250 pounds. I don't give a shit who you are. Like, if you weigh 145, 150, and you ain't squatting 450, then 200 pounds is going to cause you some problems. So that's my explanation. But where I was going with it, Nate, is like, there's some places, like, you want to get in combat? Shit, let's make all the female pilots we can make. Right? 100%, right? Like yep. you want
actually advantageous. They're smaller. They can fit in they have the same or better cognitive abilities as men. Like, there you go. And what was her name? The Angel of Death? Pilot on all my missions. She was the one that fucking slaughtered everybody, dude. She was the best in the world at it. So
and she fly an AC-130, one of the most dangerous fucking hell-fighting close air support weapons that we ever have made. Okay. But yeah, I just think women's rights, and I'm not even gonna say women's rights, I'm gonna say ludicrous rights, right? Like we were trying to do stuff with the standards to just bring in ludicrousy, right? Like, and you asked the question, what are we gonna do with all these female in line things? So this is my question: what's gonna happen to all the trans that have already been identified in the military? Because Pete Hicks have said they're gone. Right. That's a discussion. I mean, okay. So, and I'm going to say this, if they're already there, I don't think we should remove them. And if we don't want to let any more, I think you're kind of in a rock and a hard place, right? Like, if you don't let any more come in, I think you're doing a disservice to the ones that are there. I think if you pull the ones that are there doing the job already out, I think that's a disservice. So I don't really have a clean answer for that. But I do have a clean answer. There's a ton of places where they can do a whole lot of damage. The other one I'm going to say is predator drone pilots or drone pilots, okay? If you want to start, we're going to start killing people with drones. Like, we're not going to have a lot of...
Yeah, I think that's coming.
The Ukraine war is telling us that. Like, you want to kill people, let me give you a drone and some fucking FPV goggles and let's go to work.
Yeah. Well, that one's interesting because, I mean, we had a... active duty physical therapist in my special forces group that was a trans male, and she, whatever you want to say, I don't want to be politically incorrect, but never brought it up to anyone, never made a big deal out of anything, like, just lived a normal life, great at his job, like that. I just really don't have a problem with. But if it's like, hey, you got to call me by the right pronouns, and if you don't, I'm gonna file a UCMJ complaint against you, and yada yada yada. Like, we don't have time for that shit, man. Like, we're working on lethality. For me, and this is the way I say it. Does anybody on the team give a fuck that I go home and have sex with my wife? Like, no, nobody gives a fuck, right? Nobody cares that I'm attracted to my wife that's a female, right? So why the fuck does it matter who you're attracted to, who you want to have sex with, what gender you identify? What does that have fucking... Me being male, that gets brought up 0 times ever on the teams. Nobody gives a fuck. So what are we really doing here, right? Like, and we know... Explain to me why that matters, and if you can't, then yeah, I don't have a problem. Like, it's got to go.
Like I knew exactly the 2 gay dudes on my SEAL team. There's probably some more, but I knew 2 of them for sure. Yeah. Right? I've been with you for 18 months. I haven't heard you talk about a chick one fucking time. Right? And then he ended up coming out. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, fuck, I don't give a shit. Dude's a good fucking dude. I don't care, bro.
Are you good at your job?
Yeah, as long as you ain't over here soaping me up in the fucking shower, we're good. I don't give a fuck. You know. So, all right, Nate. We're doing live. We got to remember we're on live. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any good questions over there?
Let me get through the. I'll look through the comments here and see what we got.
I don't. I got a bunch of guys fighting in mine. I got a PJ or a soft dude JP in my live chat that's going yard. What's your live chat number wise?
500.
Okay, I'm 463. We killing this. This is a good
Right,
idea.
we're about 1,000
This
live.
this is a good idea, Nate. I'm gonna have to give you that. This is a good idea.
We got a lot. I got a lot in the chat. We got. It's whenever they lower the standards to meet requirements. That's the issue. I think that's a good one. Let's see. What do we got? We got some ones asking if I believe in aliens. No,
Yeah.
That's not relevant.
Totally.
How often do you jump static line? I think that's an interesting one.
Ooh.
So for me, once I was on a Halo team, brother, like if you make it to a Halo team, you never jump out of a static line aircraft ever again. I don't know how it is for you guys in SEAL teams. How often do you jump static? I didn't jump static line since like 2016. So like 7 years probably.
Wow.
I only jumped Halo because I got Halo qualified. I was one of the top percentage. I don't remember it was 20%, 10% in my qualification course that got Halo school straight out of the Q course, like the highest performing PT studs. Got Halo school. So I was one of those. So I was Halo qualified before I ever got to group or a team. So I could just go on the Halo jumps, right, to maintain currency and do it that way. So yeah, I think I have 9 static line jumps and hundreds of Halo jumps. So
I'm envious. I was late 90s. We didn't have Halo in the pipeline. We had 50 Halo billets a year for 250 people out at Yuma. When I was leaving, we had just started the outside accession program. So you would go get AFF qualified, which is advanced free fall civilian. And then you would come in, you would get your 50 jumps and you come in and test on the military side. We had some guys doing that.
That backwards, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you got your military, then you just go to AFF. They jump with you one time.
Yeah. You're good. Yeah, that's how I did. Hold on one second, Jake. We got a $100 super chat from Skeptic. It says, outside of my son, you two are my favorite non-DEI sophers. What's your son do? Your son's in SOF too?
Let's
we
go.
Appreciate it, and thank you very much. That is super generous. It's my highest donation ever.
Let's go. Nate's blowing it up. Hey guys, if you're over on my chat, we're both streaming at the same time. Ask a question. If you guys got some questions, I haven't seen any questions. I know you guys are chewing this chat up over here. Jinx is moderating.
I got a good question for us.
What you got?
I don't know about this either. Any extra info on the TV show you guys are working on?
Okay, so everything is
that moved all?
No. The TV show's doing fine. 5-day operator. All right. We got to get Nate to start pubbing it, but we kind of been.
I fucking forget.
Dude, listen, Nate. I got the commercial. I made the commercial. I think we have 35 people applied right now. Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
I think. All right. Don't quote me at 35. I know I looked 2 weeks ago, but we have all kind of jumped. We've been in a barn fire. It's going to happen in the middle of June. We're going to start making some selections here probably in a month and a half, 2 months. What is it? February, March, April. We'll be letting some people know. But yeah, it's going along, man. 5-day operator. Go to 5dayoperator.com. Sign up. It's going to be a banger, man. 5 days. It's going to be a banger. Okay?
Yeah,
going to be a banger.
For everybody in the chat, both our chats that don't know about it, yeah, we're basically, if you've seen the honky TV show, what is it? Becoming a Special Forces, where they have I think they got Cam Newton and a bunch of celebrities and JoJo.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the real version of that with pipe hitting, men that want to come out and test themselves. If you want to figure out if you could potentially become an operator, we're gonna put you through basically an SFAS blood style 3 days in hell, and if you make it through, you get selected. You're gonna get trained by bunch of Green Berets, Navy SEAL, MARSOC, and we're going to train you up, and we're going to send you out on basically a mock real mission, and it's going to be a badass TV show, I think. So that's what we are working on that still.
Yep,
that's out at the ranch that I have out here in Oregon in
Yep.
best time of the year. So if you
You
want to
want to
find out if you can do it, put in an application, boys.
put it in. All right. I had a young man on my channel asked, I'm 145 pounds. Is there a chance I get kicked out of the SEAL teams? Here's what I'm going to tell you.
I'd say depends. Jake will tell you more on
If,
that.
if you can't pick a dude up and carry him out of the second floor platoon rooms to the grinder, then yeah, you're going to get kicked out. So if you don't get there and start lifting and eating your Wheaties and doing what you got to do to have enough strength to do that, then yeah, you're going to get kicked out. And it's not because you're 145 pounds, because I know there's a couple little dudes and they can do it. So it's all a question. Like, no one cares if you fucking 5'2", 110 pounds. If you can't get a dude out of the fucking fire zone, you ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, and that's a good point. If you're 5'3" and you're 150 pounds and you're built like a brick shit house and you were a collegiate wrestler and you can throw me over your shoulder like it's not a fucking joke, you're good, bro. But if you're 6 foot tall, 145 pounds, we might have a little bit different discussion to be had.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's all about like you can't be a liability, right? The same thing I say my biggest criticism for women trying to be Green Berets is if y'all see my pictures at SHOT Show with people, I'm a big motherfucker, man. And I was the sixth biggest guy out of 12 on my dive team. There was 6 dudes bigger and heavier than me, right? That's with no kit. 240 pounds. You put 120 pounds of kit on me. I'm 360 pounds. I'm unconscious on the ground while bullets are flying. Can you fucking drag me, pick me up over your shoulder, 360 pounds, and run my ass a quarter mile out of there? If you can't, man, woman, white, black, Latino, you're a liability to everyone.
Because
the reality of it.
and this is what people don't understand, Nate. I'm sitting there, I'm 100 and let's just say I'm 200 pounds, but I'm really weak. And I got you by your toe handle, and I'm slowly meandering you back to cover.
Right.
Now I'm getting fucking shot, and now I'm a liability. I'm laying on top. Now there's 2 people that are liabilities. It just compounds trouble. So here's one of the things, Nate, you're just talking about that weight. I want people to understand this, okay? So when I rolled out the door as an officer, I had extra batteries in my backpack. I had a radio, okay? Let's just start at like 40 pounds for backpack radios. I might have some.
I was a commo guy.
Yep.
I'm carrying heavier weight than everybody. But yeah.
I got a computer in a Pelican case because it got to be waterproof. Okay. And so it's crazy. In the SEAL teams, you train, all of SEAL training, you don't have bullets in your gear. You don't have any grenades. You just have slick gear, water in your canteens. You go to SQT. And the first time I had to put all the magazines, the grenades, two smoke grenades, and my 40 Mike fucking rounds on my kit, I went and weighed myself, and I just had 43 pounds of just bullets. Just 43 pounds. That wasn't counting the standard weight of the gear. It wasn't counting the battery and the ruck. It wasn't counting nothing else. 43 pounds of bullets and grenades. Okay, so just everybody, we're not talking about lightweight here. We're not going out the door with a CrossFit vest on that weighs 60 pounds. That shit ain't happening, you know? And I'm not talking about body armor either, because back then, that shit, we didn't have the slick-ass plate carriers in the front. You had fucking full vest on. That shit weighs 30 pounds. I don't care how you measure it. And then when it gets wet, it don't ever dry out. It fucking sucks, okay?
Let's see what else. We got any other good questions going on? Nate, if they can't reach the anchor lines cable in airborne school, they won't make it. Anchor lines cable, like
the static line.
That's got to be what it means, right?
It ain't that high. It's only
you'd have to be like 3'6" to not be able to reach.
Yeah,
that. It's like at my head level.
Yeah, it's like it's right here. You're holding it right. It might be 6 feet. It might be 6 feet. Someone put in the chat that knows how long the static line cable is.
Like right here next to my face.
Yeah, which is 6 feet.
6'3".
Yeah, and I'm 5'7", and it was like right above my head. Like, it's not that high. I'm not reaching up for it. I know that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't think that's a big one. What else we got? Anything else you got? You got any?
I got a question. M. Corbin asking about a Purple Star school. I don't know what a Purple Star School is.
Purple Star. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Purple Heart, but Purple Star School. I'm not aware of a Purple
Hey,
Star
M.
School.
Corbin, put us a little bit more context. If anybody's got context on a Purple Star School, let me know. Marine infantry and then go for Rangers. If you're trying to go for Rangers, I would say just go regular infantry in the Army. Do not go to the Marine Corps first.
Oh yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Caveat to that, we have a ton of former Marines that are SF dudes. Very, very common. 2 of my teammates were former Force Recon dudes. And no knock on going that way, but I can tell you it's a pain in the fucking ass. You most likely have to get out of the Marine Corps completely and then come back in and enlist in the Army, because the Marine Corps is not trying to just send you to the Army for free. Like, so expect that you're going to join the Marine Corps, do your time, get out of the military completely, and then come back in as prior service, which is why not just go Army infantry like Jake said, and then just put in a packet to go to RASP.
Now, I will say this.
1,000 times easier that way.
I would say this. I don't suggest anybody goes into the high school accession programs for Green Berets or Navy SEALs. Okay. So if you ask me, if you want to go do 4 years in the infantry in the Marine Corps to go over to be a Navy SEAL, I would say I'm not opposed to that opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can get the same type of grit building character if you just go work construction for 2 years. But I'm not opposed to that. But if you eventually want to go in the Army, then just start in the Army and the infantry, and it makes assessing into those communities better because you understand what's going on. Okay, I got a definition. A Purple Heart School is a public or charter school that helps military-connected students transition to new schools. So I don't have a say on that because I've never even been in one. I'm not really sure what they are.
I don't know anything about them either.
Yeah. Jake said one time in the middle of the night they were diving, was bit. Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say. We in Buds, we were in the water on the bay side. They have these arthropods. They slice you open. That's how they get inside of you, and they like bite on you.
Parasite?
No, it's like a giant flea, but it has a cutter on the front of it, and it slices you. So, like, we were in the water in Hell Week. And so, Hell Week, you got magic shit going on. Like, you don't know what's real and what's not really.
A lot of hallucinations. That's how, into SEER school is, too. Just a lot of hallucinations going on.
Yeah.
Slept in, 72 hours. And
this is Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And I remember we only had, there was only like 25 of us. And someone's like, yeah, I'm getting bit. So I'm getting bit, too. I'm like, and they were all like, I'm getting bit. I'm like, what are y'all fucking talking about? We're getting bit. I'm like, fuck, everybody stand up. And the instructors are right there. What are you doing? I'm like, shut up, man. We got to figure this out. And the light from the street light was shining on us. These motherfuckers are all drilling. There's blood coming out of them and shit. Like, not like running blood. I'm like, everybody out of the water. And the instructors were like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're getting bit by something. Like, leave us the fuck alone. And they were like, shut the fuck up, because I was a little bit cantankerous, right? So I'd tell the instructors, leave us the fuck alone, get the fuck away from us. And so then they came over there, and they all had the headlamps on. They were just, they just sitting in fucking lawn chairs fucking with us. They clicked on them headlamps, and they were like, oh, shit. Okay, everybody, come on out of the, like, we were already out of the water, but it was like, yeah, what's going on? But yeah, we got eaten by some bugs, and that was a little.
I had one of my teammates at dive school got down in Key West, got a jellyfish, got up into his wetsuit and then down into it. That fucked him up, dude. I got panic out of the water trying to get out of it.
Okay.
Jellyfish stuck in there. Not like a super dangerous one, but they'll all sting you. You know what I mean?
So in on bay swims, there's times when you're gonna get the living shit stung out of you. Yeah. And like you'd be like, hey man, can you pee on my leg, please? And you'd be like, fuck, hey, bro, I got you. And the motherfucker be peeing on your leg because it, like, alleviates the sting. If you had some vinegar, I guess we could take vinegar with us, but
right, yeah.
I used to be laughing because you'd be like, fuck, like, they get in around your neck. Because I wouldn't wear a hood unless it was fucking cold, because then you couldn't breathe.
Key West, the water's fucking 75 degrees, you know what I mean? So you're not bundled up.
And you got some.
You're just wearing a military uniform.
And you got some good jellyfish down there. See, we were up there in Virginia Beach. You got them little round jellyfish. They sting you, but they ain't got them long ass tentacles like we got on the West Coast that will light fire to you and leave the burn mark on your arm.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I got a question here. VFT, do you own a shirt with sleeves? Not very many of them.
Listen, we all got a look on here. I really don't know what my look is, so it kind of varies. You see, I got the wholesale shirt on today because I don't change my clothes. I just wear the same fucking shirt until it smells, and then I change.
I just am who I am, dudes. I'm a vet bro. You know it is. I'm not. I get dressed up, but you know it is. I don't change for everybody, man.
All right, brother. Well, shit, that was a good hour, man. We fucking killed it. We got 466 on my channel. You got 500 on yours?
Yeah, a little under 500. Yeah, man.
That's a murder.
We want to talk about any other topics? I got a little bit more time if you want.
Go ahead. What do you want to throw on the table to talk about?
Let's see. I had a second idea. Let's look at the chat. Anything crazy going on?
No.
Talk about chat that we missed. I thought we had two things that we were going to talk about. Let me look at the text. It was DEI and what was... I thought we had one more.
Hang on. So this one is, did you guys hear about the two teams on Blackhawks that went across the border and the cartel used a drone to blow up one of the Blackhawks? Can someone give me a time frame of when this happened?
Whoa. I definitely have not heard of that.
I have not heard that at all.
I feel like that would have been, if the cartels would have blown up a Blackhawk, I feel like that would have been on every front page.
Every page. But I also know that we have some buddies that are now at the border. And the Marine Corps is at the border in San Diego. So
we got a question for you, Jake.
Okay.
It says, what are your thoughts on Muslim Special Forces Group 2 of the Ottoman Empire? I'll buy you some crayons, even though you are not a Marine. Oh, I think he's just talking shit because you're a SEAL, but I don't know.
I'm like, fuck Muslims. So here's what I'm going to say, okay? I'm going to change the question to something I can answer.
I haven't met a single Muslim Green Beret ever in my entire career. So
really? So one of my top savages is Muslim, okay, out of Buffalo. And he is black. He went to the Naval Academy. He's a fucking stud. And he got shit from time to time for being Muslim in the Special Forces.
The War on Terror, man.
Yeah, but he was too good. That motherfucker was finding them cats. Like he loves to say, I'm not a professional at finding needles in a haystack. I'm a professional at finding needles in a pile of needles.
Yeah. All right. So I got about 20 comments asking what they want to hear about, and it's cartels, task and purpose video on cartels, Delta Force on cartels. Do we want to talk about that at all?
We can talk about it. We can hit it quick. I mean, so a lot of people are fucking banging me because Shrek came out and said that he couldn't wait to go down there and whack cartel members. Okay.
Everybody's favorite Delta operator.
I understand that, yes, if we go on target, we are going to lay waste to the cartels. My comments about you can't win that war is not that we can't show up on the X and destroy the cartel, okay? Now, I will say this, all right? Because a lot of people on my cartel video were banging me on the Lioness ending where the cartel killed a whole crew of DEA fast team members, right? Mm-hmm. I am going to say this. If you think that we are going to disrupt a $500 billion drug business, when our country is the number... Now, we talked about this. We are killing 279 people a day in America. The next highest country is 81 people a day. Okay, and that happens to be, I think it's Canada. All right? Yeah. Like, understand this. Nowhere else in the world do we have this problem. All right? You want to know how bad China's drug problem is? It doesn't even fucking exist. Because you know what they do? They got the great 17-cent fucking treatment for all drug-related crimes. You traffic a fucking ounce of cocaine into China and they catch you, you getting a 17-cent sentence. If you don't know what that is, we're not going to talk about it. You go look it up, okay? That's
Yep.
what a lot of people are missing.
One round, baby.
One round. Okay. So I think that, yes, if we go on target, yes, we're going to kill the cartel. Okay. The thing I will tell you, I think getting to target is a lot harder now with FPV drones.
This is what I was going to say. And did you see I was on the Task and Purpose video, his big video on the cartels?
I haven't seen it.
I provided sort of the counter narcotics how special operations would be involved. And that was my point. Like, what's the target? Who's the target? How do you even fucking action that in Mexico? Do you think, like, people think like, oh, the CIA? You think the CIA, the cartel, like Jake's is talking about, this is an actual crime syndicate that spans the entire country of Mexico. We're talking about, they own police forces, they own politicians, they own half the government, they own bureaucracy systems. Like, huge portions of businesses by civilians are just owned and operated by the cartels. You don't just go in and be like, oh, the bad guys are over there, and then you go do a hit. And then not only that, this isn't fucking Fallujah, bro, in 2006, where you roll up into Tijuana and you're like, hey, call outs. If you're not a bad guy, everybody out, because we're coming in to kill everybody in the city tomorrow at noon. Like, you can't do any of that. And when you get in the gunfight, you think the AC-130 can just start laying waste to a Mexican city? None of that is a thing, right? So getting to the point where Delta Force could even like hit targets, bro, that's going to take years of partnership building, intel gathering, counter narcotics, figuring out where all this shit is in Mexico. That's where I'm like, and I don't want people to think like we shouldn't do it because it's going to be hard. I don't agree with that statement, but we got to handle our side of the border. That's step A. All right. And when we do that, like I talked about in the task and purpose video, you start cutting the border off completely. You start cutting off that money to the cartels. There's hundreds of thousands of fucking cartel members in the United States that own businesses, right? That live here. And you think if you're a local politician, police forces, and you start fucking over the local cartels, what do you think's going to start happening here in America? You're going to start seeing the local mayor's kids get kidnapped and their heads fucking cut off, man. Like, Americans got to realize, if you want this war, if you really want this war, right? We may win it in 10, 20 years, but it ain't going to be victimless, homie. Like, that's what I want people to realize. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, but America, you better be fucking ready for what that means, because guess what? ISIS is 6,000 miles away, homie. The cartel's your enemy at the doorstep. They're here.
They're here in every neighborhood,
feathers, bro. And this is what I tell people. They're like, well, the cartel's not killing Americans. They haven't been killing Americans because the money's fucking good. Why would you don't start killing Americans when you can funnel all the drugs you want in and like getting the DEA and like making the American public all pissed off about it? You lay low. You cut that money off.
I will say this, Nate. I was here in 2013. One of the cartel's accountants lived down the street from me. And I say down the street, like 2.5 miles away.
Yeah.
They came in and carved his whole family up and wrote warnings on every wall in their house in blood. Okay? Right across the street, right across 281 from me in San Antonio. That's why, like, for me, and then my guys from Tacoma that were in the game got out in 95. They got out in 95 because they said the cartel does not play, and once you go to work for them, there's no leaving. And they're cutting people's heads off, and you guys don't think there's no violence. I'm just telling you, and everybody, we can be more violent than they can. I said, okay, great. But like Nate's saying, like, if they kidnap my 3 kids, bro, we have a problem. Okay. Yep. Now, at what point do I have to say, okay, I'm going to allow my 3 kids to, let's just talk the worst case scenario. They're going to be not alive because we're on YouTube. We don't want to get canceled. Okay. One, they better come from me really quickly, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm divorcing my wife. I'm giving her everything. And then I will be a one-man terrorist cell like fucking John Rambo until I die. Okay. And I will shut down whatever country them clowns came from. I will shut it down economically, because I'm not going to kill people. I'm just going to cause the country to shut down. Okay. But I want people to understand, like, I am lost at that point. I'm no longer Jake Zweig. I am no longer United States citizen. You killed my 3 kids. I'm lost. I'm not playing any games. And that's what Americans don't understand, right? Like they weren't over in Iraq. And I'm not saying I was over in Iraq and Afghanistan, but it's the same exact principle when you running a screwdriver, a drill bit through somebody's kid's brain in front of them, right through the side of their head. Like, I'm just telling America.
Yeah, and understand that is going on in Mexico, all over the place, man. Like they use violence for control, and like I said, it's been placated because again, if you got a free flow of the market, bringing in all the drugs you want, you don't want to ruffle feathers on this side of the border, man. Look, that money's good, but we're gonna shut the border down, guys. We're gonna put thousands of troops on the border. We are gonna make it a absolute nightmare to bring those drugs in. And what do you think is going to happen? I'm telling you guys, like, I don't want to like fear monger, but I just want Americans to understand, like, it may be the right thing to do, but there are second and third order effects to decisions, and that will be one. We got a real quick question along the side of that. What about going? M Corbin $5 says, what about going after the fentanyl precursor manufacturers? I'm assuming like going after the people manufacturing it. It's China.
China.
Right?
I got something better, Nate. You guys want to know what my drug? I got 2 drug solutions. They're fucking incredible. Okay? Poison all the drugs so you kill all the drug addicts. Just one fell swoop. One day, all the drug addicts are dead in America. Okay? Let's start right there. But I'm going to tell you, there's a couple Norwegian countries that give away all the drugs for free, and they don't have any drug problems because no one wants to be a drug addict.
Right.
And when they're free, they don't have any, there's no mystique to them, right? You go down, you get your daily shot of heroin twice a day or 3 times a day, and like everybody's like, oh, he's a heroin addict, right? If it was free and there was no black market for it, I think we would eliminate 90% of the problems we're having in America. I mean, I was in Ohio. The opioid crisis in Ohio was so bad. I was like, oh my God, this is just incredible. But I'm going to say this again. Why do we have a drug problem? Because there's not, like in America, we have a whole generation of kids that grew up on social media that don't want to really fucking work a job. And then they get in the real world and they realize, like, holy shit, if you don't work, you don't eat, you know?
So I think it's interesting. It's 2-pronged. I think Portugal was the one that did it, that like had all the massive success of they just decriminalized every drug. So I don't know if you guys knew this. Oregon was the one state that we tried this. I think in like 2019, we decriminalized in Oregon every drug. We've been the one state to do it. You guys think it was successful? Any guesses, Jake? How successful do you think it has been?
Well, shit, I know Portland is a goddamn war zone right now, so I would have to say no.
It was so unsuccessful that Oregon just voted to recriminalize all the drugs. So
when you say when you say unsuccessful, Nate, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you say unsuccessful, what happened?
The problem got infinitely worse. Far more drug addicts, far more homelessness, far more crime, right? Like straight vertical, okay?
Okay.
The decriminalization. The lesson learned here was Portugal did a lot more than just decriminalizing drugs. They also spent billions of dollars into rehab facilities, like doing the things that the Scandinavian countries are doing to like provide actual support, helping people actually get clean. What did Oregon do? It decriminalized all the drugs and provided none of that. And so what you learned is it's like, yeah, you can have just like everybody can do drugs, but if you don't put any effort into actually fixing like the actual backside problem to the drug addicts on top of that, yeah, that doesn't help. So interesting case study, right? It's like, does this work in America? Well, Oregon tried it, and the answer was no.
Believe it or not, 90% of problems can be solved through education. 90%, like education. So like we cured polio with education. We did not cure polio with vaccinations. It was cured with education. So, and we all know we're not doing a real good job educating people. For a country as powerful as we are, we're like the 79th educated country in the world. So,
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's good. What do we do? How much time?
I'm at 500. I'm at 500 right now.
Yeah, I'm 490, man.
We're killing it. Hey, that's a good one.
Idea. You guys, you got to chat. You guys like this? This seems like it's fun. This is fun, man. This is what we do for videos anyway. Why not?
It is. It's like the same shit.
Why not just do them live and then we can, use them for YouTube too, man. It's cool for the chat to be able to interact.
Absolutely,
yeah,
brother.
man.
All right,
Was a
Nate, what
good
you
one.
got on the rest of your day for Sunday?
So I got to go pick up all my stuff from Shot Show for my buddy who I left it in his booth that lives here. He's the one that put me on the front doors of Shot Show,
Fucking
which
powerful.
was wild. Like
Why? I'm coming next year, bro. Just because you said AVN, I'm coming.
oh,
Shot
dude,
show AVN, I'm coming, bro. I'm in. I'm
did
in.
you see my pictures of me carrying around
I
that
I
famous midget porn star and
I
shit?
did.
It got weird. It
I
got weird
did.
fast.
Hey man, listen. I told you I worked in the porn industry for 3 weeks. You ain't got to tell me. I know. I know.
All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks